Hi, I'm Dr. Tremaine Davis, and this message is for you entrepreneurs out there, or you beginning entrepreneurs out there. If you were like me, early on in my entrepreneurial journey, I scoured the internet looking for tips and tricks on how to start a business with very little money. And I got the same thing repeatedly in the startup process: business plan, business registration, EIN number, S corps, basic stuff that could cost thousands and thousands of dollars if you're in a state like LA or California, but still don't generate profit. So I decided to do this blog to give you my professional advice about the route that I will take for new entrepreneurs without having to invest thousands just to get started. So stay tuned. This is going to be a quick one, a short one, a sweet one. Like and share if you think the information is valuable, and I will see you in a bit. So, first thing first, right? Most entrepreneurs have a very tight budget. I mean, extremely tight budget. In fact, I will say budgeting is probably the number one reason why entrepreneurs never ever get into business. There's hesitation. There's like, oh, I have just enough to buy the products, but I don't have enough to do the marketing, or I have enough to build the website, but I don't have enough to do this, and etc. Almost all entrepreneurs are running, even the existing ones are running on credit. Credit is what really runs the ecosystem. But I'm going to go about this assuming that you guys don't have access to credit. A lot of people don't have access to a significant amount of credit that would allow you to get a $100,000 loan, open up a coffee shop. If most people that's running on small businesses are using credit cards, some of them have higher limits, some of them have lower limits. But I'm going to talk about the processes that you can take to ensure that you keep that budget constrained and use that dollars to have maximum impact. Okay, so number one, forget everything that you've read online about business registrations. Legally, yes, register your business. But before you start actually operating a business, you don't have to register your business. Before you start collecting sales tax, you don't actually need a sales tax number. In fact, you can do most of the things under your sole proprietorship. Just you as a person representing yourself as a business. Most states allow you to be a sole proprietor. Now, the difference is there's protections, but we're talking about early on where there's very little risk to you, your property, your assets, and etc. So we're talking about just the startup process, not when you're generating millions of dollars, not when you're generating tens of thousands of dollars in revenue a month. We're talking about as you are right now with an idea ready to get started. So screw that. Forget that. Understand what you need to do. If you're going to go C Corp or S Corp, put that to the side. Don't need to do, put that on the back burner. At the most, register as a sole proprietor. As the least, don't do anything. Look, here's why. Because you don't actually know where your business is going. You don't. I think it's always good practice to have a corporation, at least one. But if you don't have that already, you don't know exactly where your business is going. So branding your business becomes kind of important once you figure out where your business is going. I don't know how many times I've started a business and 6 months in, I realized that one product sells more than the other, and my focus hones in on that specific product or service. Every last one of my clients, I've gone through it. This is hacking growth. This is growth hacking, figuring out what method, what product sells, what service sells, and etc. So before you do all of that, before you figure that out, before you start offering services to the public, you don't need all of those protections. You'll hear companies say, buy business insurance. What are you insuring, right? Buy cars with your logo on it. Why? Okay, so that's it. Number two rule, and this is the guiding principle. Every single thing that you invest in should have a direct correlation to driving revenue and contacting your customers. Everything you do early stage in the startup process should be directly about concentrating on your customers, learning your customers, understanding those needs. And this is why you don't, incorporating your business is good for your business, but it's not giving you insight on your customers. Every aspect should be focused on gaining insight on your customers. And what that means is that, let's say you have $10,000, right, which is not enough to start a coffee shop at the moment. But if you use that $10,000 to contact, to build marketing campaigns and actually build a brand around your potential coffee shop before it launched, I guarantee you that 2,000, 3,000 customers, potential customers that you're able to connect with in your small town or within the proximity of your potential coffee shop will motivate you to open up that coffee shop. You will find that money if you are guaranteed that those customers are interested in your goods. And thirdly, be ready to lose some money in the short term, not the long term. Investment is you're putting sunk costs up in hope of a return. So very early on, and we see this in the startup ecosystem now, very early on, even if you only have $10,000 and you're trying to open up a coffee shop that is $50,000, you could do it mediocre. You could open up a coffee stand, or you can realize that you're going to need more money to be successful and use that $10,000 to connect with your customers. And once you connect with those customers, everything else is simple, especially in the age of digital communication. Coffee delivery is a thing. Partnering with the coffee shop, because once you actually have a brand that you can represent, even if you don't have a physical store, right, or you have e-commerce store. Let's say you're gonna build a jewelry store online. You could identify the products that you want to sell, mock up that jewelry store, growth hack that jewelry store, figure out exactly what people want to purchase before you even purchase the goods. Because every product that you buy will most likely come with stock images. So let those vendors do the work for you with photos and etc. You can do this without having to go through business registration, without having to go through a corp registration, without having to get business lawyers involved, without having to go through all of that stuff that only makes it feel as you're a business. You don't even need a business bank account at this point, assuming that you already have a business bank account. With places like Shopify, you no longer need. Shopify will give you a bank account within their system in a debit card. So all of those old ways of building a business are just capitalist models, because there's a company that you can pay to do your corporate paperwork. There's a company that you can pay to do your EIN stuff. There's a lawyer that you can pay to put in your privacy policies and your employee handbook and do all the other work for you. There's a insurance company that wants to sell you business insurance. None of that matters at this point, not as a startup. So those are the three things I really want you to keep in mind when you're starting a business. And I'll say the most important one is to ensure that every dollar that you spend is directed towards targeting and acquiring customers. I hope that was beneficial to you guys. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the other side.